Hey, Chris here. Thanks for tuning in to part 1 of this miniseries, the name of which I haven't decided yet. I mean, you know what the title is, but as of this recording by past Chris, the final title has not been settled on. Anyway, changing gears, when originally discussing the idea behind this miniseries, Ian and I wanted to discuss our experiences with our mental health in order to normalize the experiences both for us and hopefully for some of our listeners. But that's as far as we got. We did not decide any real structure, and it kind of shows. But we did get a lot of interesting nuggets out of this session. Beyond Star Wars and Glassjaws, we eventually get into the many conflicts that arise from our desire to be altruistic. Kind of foreboding, a lot of stuff done back there. Anyway, let's get into it.
Seen like the new Star Wars trailer.
Oh my god!
I've seen like the trailer for
here.
I've seen the trailer for the Respawn game.
What is the Respawn?
Have you seen that?
No.
The new Respawn. Oh yeah, the Respawn single player game they're making for EA, the Star Wars one.
Oh,
Is
they're making another one.
Yeah.
Is Lucasfilm got
This
anything
battle.
at all, or is Lucasfilm Dunzos?
You mean Disney?
I do. Sorry, I don't know why I said that.
You mean LucasArts?
LucasArts.
For video games?
LucasArts for Jesus. Yeah. Okay. Fine.
LucasFilm,
LucasArts.
LucasArts.
Yeah, doesn't it suck?
Yeah.
Light-
It's
Do you
really
mean Light and Magic for...
Industrial Light and
Yeah,
Magic.
Industrial Light and Magic for just special effects? Or
Oh, Jesus Christ!
for mocapping? They do it at Lucasfilm Ranch.
I'm just so glad George Lucas is gone. Do you know that this briefly? Do you know the story about David Lynch meeting George Lucas?
No.
How he got offered to do fucking episode 1.
Really?
I would have watched that.
Right? I would have watched the fuck out of that.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I'm gonna vaguely do a voice. He's like, and so George took me up to his ranch, and he was very excited, and he wanted to show me all the things he'd been working on, and he took me around, and he said, "This is a Wookiee," and I felt a little twitch in the side of my face, and then he walked me around, and he showed me.
I think you told me this.
Oh yeah, he walked me and showed me a robot, and he said, "This is a protocol droid," and the twitch in my head got a little worse. And then we were going around, and he was explaining mythology, and then the swords and the mystics. And then it was a very long conversation before George said we were going to have lunch. Now, I usually eat lunch at Bob's Big Boy. I have a double stack and a milkshake. He only had salad. And then I had a migraine at this point.
Yes, he talked something about a higher ground.
And then basically George Lucas, him telling George Lucas, like, this is fun, but no, I don't want to do this even a little bit. Yeah, man.
Why would he want David Lynch?
Right? That's what I want to know. What did David Lynch do that he's like, this is the face of Star Wars. This is the future.
I have the higher ground, Luke. I don't know what else to tell you.
And then just like the whole movie is told out of sequence.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
just like weird scenes where the robots dance to camera. I would... Actually, I keep saying it and I'd watch that movie.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Well, if we had gone the original Lucas
God.
vision, it would have gone into a microscopic world within the Jedi bloodstreams that feed off, that gives them the Force energy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's confirmed. Yeah, look it up in an interview.
That's genuinely what George Lucas wanted to do?
Yeah, that's how he wanted to finish it. And then he went, yeah, but people probably wouldn't have liked it. And then that was the end of the interview.
Yeah! People wouldn't have liked it!
Yeah, granted, this was like a year or two ago that he said that. So this is after all of this.
I'm so glad someone...
It's like poetry.
Yeah.
You just get the impression that when you watch the footage of him making the prequels.
Yeah.
And all these people and him saying shit like, "Oh, this is Jar Jar. He's the key. He's really the key of the series." And you just get this picture that like people have this mentality like, well, he must know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I guess.
See, but now, like, I keep hearing these things, and now, who was the co-director on the original Star Wars?
Oh, shoot.
Because now I'm starting to believe he was the guy.
George Lucas goofed his way into
Yeah.
a really cool movie. American Graffiti's good, but
American
like,
Graffiti is good.
It's good. Yeah.
if you haven't seen it, go watch American Graffiti.
Yeah.
It's a but it's very possible George Lucas goofed his way into something.
There's no way to know except
No.
being there.
I mean, guys, he only directed one Star Wars?
George, yeah, wasn't it the first one?
He just directed Episode 4.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Because there was no one to do it.
There was no one else who wanted it.
to do it, so it was him. It was him moving the sheet of paper, for the credit.
God.
The one they stole from Flash Gordon.
See, people like go, wow, that's kind of messed up. I go, that's awesome. I want more just hand effects,
I love that stuff, man.
It's fucking cool shit. That has nothing to do with the subject.
No, that was a digression.
Of what we're tackling.
The trailer's cool.
Yeah.
So, hope you all liked it. Hope you all like this.
Star Wars.
Oh, hey. Go out and...
Especially because our last conversation about Star Wars was me going, I think I'm bored with Star Wars.
I mean, you saw Luke Skywalker die and you don't care. I don't care.
Yeah.
Doesn't that suck?
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. And again, I feel like I always have to say this because people just assume I think the movie's bad. Mm-hmm. And it's not. It's not a bad movie. It's actually got a lot of cool things going on.
Yeah.
It's me, and I feel this
It's not you, it's me movie.
It's me movie. I think I'm bored and done with Star Wars, and that sucks.
That really... And you know what? I did have one fleeting moment of, because the trailer's slick and flashy, and it's gonna...
Yeah.
And, it's got all the qualities of a J.J. Abrams, which is gonna be, adequate.
Uh-huh.
J.J. Abrams... In my opinion, J.J. Abrams is consistently... Never terrible, never great, but adequate.
Yeah.
He has good moments, so that's how I personally view him. He's a great moment-to-moment director.
Yes.
When he has a good moment, it's fantastic. But,
But
I can only watch so many things where it's moment-to-moment, you know?
There's a reveal,
you
guys, at the trailer, and I will share it with you now. And then we'll go on to what this is really about.
Should we really have this episode have Star Wars spoilers?
Oh, I mean, I guess. Nah. Hey, you guys. That could be the title!
Do I have to put up a spoiler, quote-unquote spoiler, for a fucking trailer that,
It's a fucking... it's a teaser trailer, man.
Teaser trailer.
Let's immediately date our podcast.
Oh, that's true.
That's true. That's also true.
So...
That came out a while ago, too.
Yeah, that was so long ago.
I didn't even know it came out until, one of my coworkers was like, "Did you watch it?" And I go, "Watch what?" He was like that. And I'm like, "No, man, I don't get. You know my shifts. I don't get.
You don't get
breaks. It's this, and then I sleep or I die, and then there is nothing."
You've been resurrected so many times.
Yeah.
The Lazarus pit is really getting its work.
It's getting dirty, and I have to clean it out
with the pool skewer.
It's got leaves. I'm pretty sure there's a dead bee in there somewhere
with a skimmer. That
was always the worst. Did you ever go swimming in a pool as a kid and see a dead bee in it and you're like, I don't even want to be near that?
Well, now I can't be in this pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if the stinger stings me?
I used to see dead roaches a lot.
Ooh, in pools?
Pools, yeah.
That sucks.
Oh, that's the worst.
I saw bees all the time.
When I was a kid, my mom talked about how she would terrify her siblings with Jaws, because that was a topical reference.
Oh, the movie.
The movie.
Okay.
Not her mouth.
Yeah.
Throw dentures at.
Man, that'd be cool.
Throw your dentures at shit.
I want that super bad.
I want it.
It was weird. I had a thought last night where I was thinking, I don't know why I was thinking about JoJo, but I think about JoJo a lot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I always try to come up with a stand power that's goofy every so often.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I'd call it smoke on the water because I feel like there's a better name for this.
Yeah.
But I basically want a stand where I have a real life smoke bomb.
Uh-huh.
And I actually disappear and go somewhere.
That's
just to mess with people.
I kind of like that as an idea, though.
Just to mess with people, like
it functions only as roughly a teleport then?
Yeah, short. It would be a short teleport.
Okay.
Because I would want them to believe that, like, wait, weren't you just over there? I was like, no, I've been in this diner, like,
the whole time.
Yeah.
And the idea came from. This is a weird tangent. The idea came from a story when my coworkers told me that on my day off they were playing like TV songs, so songs from
Sitcoms
TV shows,
like...
and just all over the place.
Okay.
Right? But eventually, a song from Sesame Street came up, and like my coworker noticed one of the customers here was like, "Is this really happening? Are you guys playing like TV stuff in here?" And I go, "And then you should have just said, no, this isn't happening,' and then fly away." And I want moments like that, but with the swim phone.
For real, guy? No.
Yeah.
Questlove isn't in the building. You've never been in the building.
Hey man, Questlove's in the house.
Questlove isn't in that.
Questlove, you're nowhere. Questlove, I am your father.
Oh my god, man.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the stuff.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
came-
wait. Finish up with the Jaws thing. So you scare them.
Oh, so
Because that's going to drive someone nuts if you don't finish that.
yeah, my mom used to like apparently make my uncles miserable when Jaws came out. When she would say that like in any body of water,
There's a
you
shark
never
in
know.
one.
You never know. You never know. And so when I was then growing up, I think I asked her while I was swimming, like, that's ridiculous. Why would they be scared in a pool or something?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, because I told them about glass jaws. You can't see glass sharks. What?
Yeah.
They could be right by you. You couldn't see it. Why would you tell me this? Why would you tell me this while I'm breaststroking?
And then you watch the movie Ghost Shark, and you found out it could just be in a slip and slide.
Oh my god.
Or Sharknado, it can eat planes.
Oh Jesus, fuck me. Oh my god. It's Sharknado, and I actually watched some of Birdemic.
Uh-huh.
Have you seen any of that?
No, I want to watch. If I'm going to watch Birdemic, I'm going to watch that Riff Tracks one, where it's the original guys from...
Mr. Science?
Yeah.
I'd probably prefer that. I
Yeah.
couldn't actually...
It played in movie theaters for like one night, and I
Really?
just missed it, yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It sucks, dude. Like...
No, it's a terrible movie.
No, I
But-
mean, like, it sucked that I missed it.
Yes.
That and Samurai Cop. I didn't get to watch Samurai Cop when they did it.
Dude,
Yeah.
Sorry, kind of sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that was the Jaws thing.
That was Josh's thing.
Yeah.
Well, hi. Welcome to this.
Hi.
Oh, we didn't see you there. Let me put this towel on.
Oh, wow. Well, you just caught us in a moment.
It's nice to have a man in the house.
You know what? I want to use that for anything
Yeah.
now. I want to use that for everything.
You had a baby shower?
It was so good to have a man.
You probably know what this is going in. Just because we're obviously recording this before I made any posts or anything or announcements. We're probably going to announce it on the podcast for April.
Yeah.
But this should be coming out. This first episode should be coming out May 3rd, which for you is today, but for me is the future. So I'll talk like it's the future. But it is Mental Health Awareness Month for May, and we had this idea where we would talk about kind of our own adventure. I don't know if adventures are the right
Our
word.
own dabblings.
Journey.
Dabblings feels like it was a choice.
Journey?
Yeah, journey.
Journey, I guess. Yeah.
Quest? I don't know.
Our own
Because I don't want to call it hardship. Experiences is probably
Experiences.
honestly the most neutral and best
The
way
right
to do
word,
it.
yeah.
So I don't want to say hardships, but
I mean,
even though it could be like trying sometimes.
here and there.
Yeah, experiences is probably the best way to go about it. Our experiences with different facets of this topic, and our own experiences, and the whole idea is that we get to kind of like hopefully normalize it to people, because all three of us like have listened to other people talk about on different podcasts stuff as like Tales from the Pit by Michael Swaim and Small Beans Productions, to Inside Conan, which we'll get to in a moment, where it kind of helps to listen to other people normalize it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though it might get like quote unquote too real, like as I mentioned with the Colbert thing, it does help.
Yeah,
it does help. I'll probably put up maybe like trigger warnings or possibly within the thing for certain aspects, but that'll be something future Chris decides. So yeah, so we're gonna kind of just go around talking about almost like group counseling
round robin
style. Pretty much, it's like gonna be the style of the regular podcast, but the subject matter is that.
Yeah.
So we'll introduce ourselves, kind of give what we've gone through, quick rundown if we can. Okay. So I'll start off. My name is Chris, as you probably realize that.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
What's up, buddy? Got this token for one day sober. No,
Are we gonna be here next week? I'm sorry.
And I want to preface it with saying I do not have any degree in psychology or a doctor in anything, and I have not been diagnosed. I've done counseling sessions through my college because it was free and I could afford that at the time. I did group counseling things and just would talk about it with other people in hopes that getting some form of therapy without not being able to afford it or pay for it on my own. So kind of close. So having said that, what I think I might have, or what is kind of going with it, is depression, to the point of also existential depression, as well as some anxiety, but not. I think that's on a lesser thing than the depression. I think my depression is like way bigger, or has hit me a lot harder than any form of anxiety. Although I did have a panic attack for the first time last year during my last year of college, and that sucks. That feels like you're dying or something, or it feels like an allergic. I thought it was an allergic reaction to something,
Like short of breath kind of
yeah.
stuff?
And then like my throat, and bottom jaw started itching and kind of closing. And I was like, oh shit, do I have to go to a hospital because it feels like that? And then I would find out later a lot of like panic attacks do feel like a heart attack. So that's probably what it was. And luckily, the paper I was working on, my professor was really cool about it. She knew me, so she knew I wasn't making shit up. Like when, and she gave me an extension of like 5 days, which is plenty of time to.
That's
I
cool.
was like almost done anyway. So. But yeah, that's kind of the rundown. We'll dive into that later. But
Sure
yeah, Ian, you want to go?
Hi, I'm Ian.
Hi, Ian.
Hey, Ian.
Hey guys.
See you next week.
I'd say that like
Who invited you? No.
I'm so sorry, my good friend.
We have the privilege of your presence.
Bitch Chips Bob wrote me.
Wow, that's a name. Okay.
They're all skinheads. Why does it take so long for people to realize that they're all skinheads? Anyway, I have gone through a few therapy sessions. I'm actually like right now kind of shopping for something that's a little more regular.
Yeah.
I've actually just kind of settled down my lifestyle.
Yeah.
But I'm an incredibly anxious person. I would not be surprised if I had like some form of like general anxiety, just because of I have. Well, these guys know behind the scenes that I've had multiple reasons to be an anxious person.
Yeah.
Over the last few months, but like aside from that, I generally just kind of. Sometimes you just get this kind of overwhelming feeling, and then I need to in this way that's very distracting. Like I don't have kind of clear agency of my thought for a while.
Gotcha.
In these kind of spells, and then I'll just like, I should just walk outside at like 11:30 at night and just then I'll feel better.
It does help
in that-
sometimes because, like, as soon as you change it, it could stop and track whatever you're thinking about.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It turns it into kinetic energy instead
Yeah.
of potential.
Mhm.
I don't know about so I don't know. We can unpack it a little bit later. I'll talk about a conversation that I had with an actual professional that I had about this. But I definitely for some time thought that I may have forms of depression, in that and actually in particular I found out that some of the things that I was feeling, that depression doesn't always manifest necessarily as just feeling like sad.
It's different stuff, yeah.
And I would, and the way that it actually manifested for me, and that it scared me the most, was that I would have like spells of like rage, just completely misplaced anger that I could not, like I could say like, oh, there's no reason for me to feel this way right now. Like this is this is an irrational feeling that is not directed at anything. And like it's kind of eerie. It's a very eerie feeling, just feeling like, oh, I'm gonna like pop right now.
Yeah.
I gotta. And again, like usually my response to that is, I'm gonna take myself outside for a while, and I'm gonna get away from people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I am looking into like regular therapy sessions, and maybe like
Good for you, man.
talking it out with someone. Yeah. So that's I guess kind of the short version of it, and we'll go.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Oh,
Well, thank you for sharing.
Oh,
thank you, Sharon. Hi, I'm Nick.
hey Nick.
Hey, Nick.
Been here for 2 weeks now. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we know.
It's so good to see you.
Why are you still here? No,
Couldn't figure it out.
so for me, I was how long has it been? It's been I was in therapy for 6 years, and I was on medication for 3 years.
Yeah.
That's because earlier in high school, like in my late teens, I developed. At the time, they thought it was schizophrenia. They diagnosed it as paranoid schizophrenia.
Okay.
And then it was later changed to a mood disorder, because I would have those extreme states of anxiety, like like severe anxiety, I think was the way it was written. And then I had, after that, it was called learning disability, I think they put on.
Oh, yeah.
I think because like my grades slipped after I told someone. Like it got so bad when I was young, it was like I can't function. I have to tell someone.
Right.
And then, but then later in life, it was like those two diagnoses were merged, and it became schizoaffective disorder, which is both.
Okay.
It's you have a mood disorder with like symptoms that relate to schizophrenia, but there's bipolar mode and there's depressive mode. So I have depressive mode.
Okay.
They explained to me. So it's kind of like I'll go into like relapse a lot, where it's like I'll have times where I'm great and times where I'm really bad, and I have those two extremes. Yeah, I did medication for like 6 years. No, I'm sorry, I did therapy for 6 years, did medication for 3. Went off it because like the physical symptoms were really bad. Weight gain was the biggest one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I gained like 60 pounds in a couple months.
Wow.
Yeah, and it kind of damaged my body. It damaged my body pretty bad. Not only physically, but like not only like on the outside, but also like physically too. Went to the doctors. It was kind of tough because I had both parts of our family have like heart problems.
Oh, okay.
Histories of like heart problem or heart disease and stuff like that. High blood pressure.
Right.
So at the time I was pretty diabetic because of it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, with some fatty liver. So then I got off it, and then I kind of like went up and down for a while. I don't know. I think that I think it was kind of, for me, a lot of the anxiety was like not being like, it was kind of like trying not to be found out. So I had like my biggest symptom for a while was delusions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was like I lied so much when people asked me about like my past, or like if they want to know stuff about my family. I lied so much that I started to believe it.
Oh shit.
I started to believe the lies.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of like, it was kind of like that for a while, and then I think it was till like late high school I kind of just dropped it. And I think kind of like what Chris and you guys talked about, where like kind of like comedy kind of saved us.
Yeah.
In a way.
Well, that's like the big common thread I thought we were getting into. But
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I was trying to transition.
Oh, no, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
Look at this slick ass transition, man.
Yeah.
Like, come
I
on.
was trying
No, and I ruined it. Damn it. All right, go ahead.
No, it's cool. Like
Yeah.
I didn't write it, but that's how good I am. No, I think because prior to the Inside Conan with Conan Needs a Friend with Stephen Colbert, the best interview I saw about that was when Paul Mooney on a radio show was asked about his history with Richard Pryor 2 years ago, and he was asked what he thought about Precious and Precious 2 coming out or in production.
Is that real?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh shit.
Spike Lee's directing it.
Oh my god. Okay.
And he was asked, he's like, oh yeah, people believe that shit. It's amazing. They haven't seen Gone with the Wind. Gone with the Wind makes Precious look like a Disney film. if they have Mark Twain, Richard Pryor's Dark Twain. Best trailers. He's like, Color Purple. I want something happy. I don't want all this depressed shit again. Everyone's got to keep bringing this shit up. You can't top slavery. We get it, but we need something. I saw Brothers, and I was like, oh, white, dark man, white man. But no, he talked about that, and he kind of talked about fame and fortune, and it was kind of the whole thing about like, people, like a lot of what he saw with Pryor was a lot of what he saw later in the decades with comics and actors, where it's like all the stuff that you're kind of like in media depicted like as happiness, lots of money, nice car, nice family, all that stuff. You would think someone wouldn't need to be in a group. They wouldn't need to be a Scientologist, NRA, Teachers Union, all these groups, if they have all this stuff that people want to have or like aspire to have. So clearly, there's not enough, or something's wrong somewhere. So I think it's kind of tough when like Chris Cornell passed away, and like with Chris from Linkin Park, Chris Benning.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot his last name.
Chris.
Is it Bennington or?
If it's not Benning, it's Bennington.
Bennington.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of like when people said like, oh, like they never showed the signs. Remember that?
Yeah.
Or like
it's like the biggest misconception. Like.
Yeah. Or with Chris Benning, it's like, oh, he had 6 children and a wife, and how can you leave him? And
it's a real misapprehension of like what it actually is.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a big misconception that that it's to the point where I'm like, people still believe that, like, or still spout that stuff, and they do.
Yeah.
But it comes in waves, is what it is.
Yeah.
And there's really big waves, and those are the things that tend to put people under. Like, it could, like Ian was kind of alluding to, it's kind of like, or you as well, where it's just there's really good days and then there's really bad days, and like, and the really bad days can get really bad. Like,
and I mean, there's someone that I'm very close to that I've known for a few years, and they a while back told me how they were they had clinical depression, and they had and I think like until you have like a frank discussion with someone about like what like, and again, like you said, anything can be different for every individual.
Yeah.
But like this fella who healthy,
active,
Yeah.
vibrant, seems to have like a lot of good stuff
Mhm.
in their life, and like just. There was a moment where we were talking about it, and he like just kind of described to me like the experience of his depression.
Yeah.
And him saying like, it doesn't really matter how many things you do right,
Yeah.
as far as like what should make you happy or what should make your life worth being proud of or XYZ.
Yeah.
You have a part of your brain that is not making a chemical. You have something that's
Yeah.
doing this to you, and you just think you're a piece of shit every single day, no
Oh, yeah.
matter what. And it's just like, and like I'm looking at him and I'm just
Yeah.
I can't, like I don't see where you're getting it, other than like
Mhm.
there's something here that's not
Yeah.
relating to your reality,
Yeah.
and that like.
That's terrifying.
That's
'cause
terrifying.
Yeah.
Because and then like him saying like I know that. I
Yeah.
know there is no
that's always the worst part about it. is that-
logical
yeah.
part of it.
Is that when you have it, you're aware, and you tell yourself it's irrational, and you know it's irrational, and
Mhm.
everyone knows it's irrational, and you talk to your counselors or your therapist, and you're like, yeah, you know this, you know it's irrational. Yeah, but in the moment, like,
I'm feeling it.
yeah,
It feels real.
It feels like the realest thing in the world.
Mm.
And even if you're telling yourself it's irrational in the throes of it, there's a part of you, there's a part of that where once you're telling yourself that, it becomes even more scary.
Yeah.
Because something in this doesn't make sense anymore.
Mm. Mhm.
And like our human brains are always trying to make sense of
Rationality.
everything.
Yeah.
Every single thing at every single moment.
Yeah, it reminds me when Chris Cornell passed. Remember his wife tried to sue the doctors who gave him his medication
Mm-hmm.
because he thought it was the medication, but I mean there was no trace. He just stopped taking medicine
Yeah.
like the weeks prior, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's nothing. There's no trace.
I mean, like,
So that sucks.
yeah, man.
Because it sucks to realize like there's nothing you could have personally done.
Yeah.
Or it's not.
Yeah.
It's something actually out of your control.
Yeah.
Like it's the whole. You try to rationalize something you can't explain
Exactly.
or you can't like understand. Yeah.
And like let me just say, like, it is good to be present for people in your life, and
Yes.
absolutely fucking do that.
Yeah.
But like, so the person that I was talking about before, like he like when he was having like very hard hitting days, like the low troughs in his
Yeah.
crests, let's say, like he would hit me up and he would be like, "Oh, let's go out," and for most of the day, like I was consciously aware, like this is a bad day for him.
Yeah.
He's feeling X, Y, and Z, and it's frightening because so much of that is an internal struggle that
Yeah.
you don't see, that even when you know it's there,
Yeah.
like I was there and I would periodically forget, and I'd just be like, oh, we're just hanging out, we're having a
Yeah.
good time, and then I would be like, oh, he's probably doing this, or like he would, I don't know, look off, and I would interpret
Mhm.
an expression as, oh shit, what is happening
Yeah.
internally, and like how much of that is something that's completely out of your hands.
Mhm.
That is something that is
Yeah.
removed from you.
And that always like, that's a tough thing because when you're on the other end, you can notice that like the person you're talking to is viewing you in a different way.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Or if you got that kind of like paranoia, and then you start like, oh, he thinks I'm a freak and like all that stuff, and that sucks because you don't know. Because even if you got through it your entire time, and this is another thing, and people, it's different for each individual, but it's always hard to know what the right thing to do is. Do you just ignore it and like try to pretend it's the original day?
Right.
And like that helps people, but at the same time, does that just extenuate the problem?
Of not addressing
because
it.
of not addressing it,
Yeah.
and creating this illusion or this idea that not showing it's the right way to go,
Mhm.
or do you confront it? But that's a scary thing because in like a battle that you're going down with.
Yeah.
And who knows how that's going to end up at the end of it. The only common thread that I can see is just to be there for people when they're going for it, because that's probably the best thing you can do in those moments. Like, yeah, you just gotta be there for them, and whatever happens gonna happen. But
Yeah.
If someone's there, it's always more comforting. But it's always tough to know what to do.
To take us back to what you were talking about, and then kind of circle back to how this whole episode kind of started. We'll get that.
Yeah.
But there was actually a really interesting show that was produced by Billy Connolly's wife.
Okay.
And like Billy Connolly's wife was she had a degree in behavioral psychology, and she was like a licensed therapist.
Gotcha.
And she did a show where she just did like recorded sessions with
Sorry.
it's okay. With she did therapy sessions recorded with stand-up comedians essentially, and they just kind of talk through like
Okay.
what brought you into comedy,
Yeah.
and how is that related to why you need me as your therapist.
Yeah.
Because Billy Connolly's wife actually practiced therapy on actual stand-ups
Yeah.
generally, and
Wow, that's so scary.
isn't it fucking terrifying?
Yeah.
And like the two that I think I remember, there were three
Yeah.
stand-ups I remember the most. One was Billy Connolly, Robin Williams,
Yeah.
and Stephen Fry.
Okay.
And the three of them, all very different experiences, of course, but I'd say that they all circled similar ideas, at least, of art is a way to make people relate to you
Yeah.
in a way that is approachable.
Yes.
Yeah.
And with comedy, I feel like, because like, well, all of us love comedy, and I think all three of us have in common, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, is that we like to make other people laugh.
No, you're so wrong.
So I fucking gotta tear them
You're
down.
really wrong.
I want to make them cry.
No, and yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
that, right? It's that if we're being for real here,
Yeah.
it's that we're Storyteller Cast gets real. If we're it's gonna be the title.
Don't call it.
Gotta keep it real.
Is that we love seeing other people laugh, and that in itself brings us joy. Does that make sense? Out of all things, there's a YouTuber that me and Nick love watching, Maximilian, and he once said the thing he loves most in the world is making other people happy, which is why he makes so many videos like that. And I completely relate to that. Like, to give even someone like a little chuckle in their day, or like little brighter thing, it's one of the greatest feelings in the world. Like, to the point where I have to kind of do it constantly. Like,
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. And like this feeling that, well, and then another thing that I think about, that I think Robin and Tina Fey weirdly also both kind of talked about. Like, I don't really know much about Tina's personal life at all.
yeah, she has like a biography that we could read.
We could read it. Could read it.
I haven't gone around to it.
She's very handsome.
She's a very handsome woman.
Yeah.
But she
Still one of the greatest comedy writers, in my opinion.
She's still crushing it.
Yeah.
She's still crushing it. But she was talking about. They were both talking about this idea of a lot of the attitude of comedy, at least when you get to your like more mature years, past the instinct of I want people to like me. This is making them laugh is an easy way to make people relate to you. Is also associating, and this fucked me up, and I was like, yeah, I get that too, is I don't want people to feel the way I feel a lot of the time.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, what if if I'm making them laugh, I know that they don't feel that shitty way that I must feel regularly.
Yeah.
So, that
That sucks. things.
Yeah. Like, at least someone gets to smile.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, fuck.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then
absolutely
but then I start thinking, like, this just came to me, like, isn't that an incredibly selfish thought, too, is to make someone happy so that you can feel happy?
So you can feel good about,
It's
where
almost
you're at.
parasitic,
Mhm.
like that, and that's the kind of, that's where, well, that's a kind of a leeway into how I kind of think. I do these things, and my counselor kept bringing this up, that I gotta, like, stop doing this, is I create narratives all the time. It's kind of a double-edged sword. One, it makes really good storytelling things, because I can kind of just go off and write, like, a bunch of stuff, almost stream of conscious style.
Yeah.
That's why you've read some of my short stories. They tend to be kind of like stream of conscious
Yeah.
style, where people just go and, like, but two, you get up in your own head a lot when create this disillusionment of what's actually going on.
Yeah.
And you get caught in circles, like where I kind of just did, where it's like, yeah, but isn't making people happy a horrible thing because you're leeching off of it?
I think
Like,
of
the
it-
only way I can comfort that is that there's a level of selfishness that you need to have in order to survive.
to function as well.
And I think that's, like, on a biological level, that's completely true, because that's how you live.
Yeah.
You, at some point, you need that little bit of selfishness to tell you that you can eat food. Otherwise, you're just going to keep giving it to other people.
Okay.
I forgot what journal that came from, but I remember reading that in a biology class. But, like, aren't you harming us? It's a whole weird thing that it's a dangerous, like, going into that, like, rabbit hole.
I think of it more so on the other end of that, actually, which
yeah.
is like, less so the, like, I guess more so like, what a scary thing that you can only feel good
Yeah.
through other people.
Yeah.
There's nothing internal.
You can't feed yourself. You
Yeah.
need someone else to feed you.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, well, it's the old George. It's the old George Carlin thing, where it's like, well, if you try, because it's tough, because like Chris said, it's double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Because if you try to satisfy other people, you're giving yourself a reason to neglect yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So like he said, help yourself before you help others.
And that's so hard. That's such a hard concept for
Yeah,
me
I
to
know.
wrap my head around.
It's easier said than done, but I was gonna say that I kind of I would say I disagree with like a selfish thought or action equals bad.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
That's what I was kind of getting at. Is that's the conclusion you eventually have to reach.
Yeah, because you can perceive any action to be selfish to some
Yeah.
degree,
Yeah.
and you can also perceive any action to be like it's really.
Yeah. I remember having a. Sorry, did you?
Oh, I was just going to say it's the happiness pump.
Yeah.
Philosophically,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it's good to help other people, but like also don't let yourself become like a test animal.
Yeah. And so that reminds me of this. I got like two thoughts about that.
Yeah.
It reminds me of this thing that happened in like high school, right? I was taking an economics class, and we were discussing these weird concepts behind economics, like psychologically how stuff works. And one is to view it as everyone's inherently selfish and doing things. I remember having, knowing this guy, you know, he's a super religious dude, always tries to look on the always tries to look like humanity's, what's the word for it? They're always trying to do the best thing for each other, and to the point where it would create anger in some sessions, which I always thought that's probably a dangerous idea. It was like, yeah, but what about people who do charity out of their own benevolence? And he goes, yeah, but they become happy doing that, right? And that's entirely a selfish feeling, because that's a good feeling to do it. And the kid can just wrap his head around it. And I'm sitting next to him, and I'm like something clicked in my brain at that moment. I went, fuck, like that's entirely what it is. And that's how And I always kind of viewed it that way. I just didn't have like the right words to put for it.
Yeah.
But there is an inherent selfishness to everything you do, because at the end of the day, you're trying, whether we believe it or not, we're trying to make ourselves feel good, and we're always just trying to find this path towards it. And you're right, that goes into this dangerous idea where you need to make others happy, and you can't feed yourself. You need someone else to kind of feed you for it.
Yeah.
So you like the ultimate goal, I always feel like, is to find a way to self-validate yourself. Well, that was a weird sentence. To validate yourself.
Yeah.
And make yourself happy without having to give a part of yourself up or have someone else do it for you.
Yeah.
And that's hard. Like, that's really hard. Like, that's to the point where it leads to these self-endangering thoughts. Like, fuck.
Well, it
I
seems.
don't even know where to go with that. But that's kind of like a train of thought from there.
Oh, I was gonna say, it always seemed to me like it's less of being right or wrong of self-interest, acting out of self-interest, and more just is. It's just I think it's just one of those things you have to accept, that people have their own self-interest. In mind. It sounds nice. If it would be nice, ideally, if everyone acted unselfishly, and there were no like consequences to your health or like your mental being. Yeah. But there is, and that's just not the reality,
And I mean, let's also just like repeat once more, like that's not to discount altruistic behavior.
Yeah.
Like.
No.
Like
that was my next. Like, we're not gonna go into greed is good exactly. Levels. No. If you can channel that to benefit not only yourself but other people,
then good. Then
you've nailed it. Like, you've become a great human being. Like, that's how I always view it. As long as to help out others is one of the greatest things you can do.
No, I absolutely agree.
As simple as it sounds, but
because you can have an evolutionary biologist sit down and tell you that generosity and altruism in my completely uneducated simplified version is the genetic predisposition for a parent to sacrifice its life for the child is not altruism. It is for the good of a species continuing.
Yeah.
But then, is your point, the point shouldn't, your takeaway should not be then, exactly, fuck those babies.
It shouldn't be a cynical point of view.
Exactly.
It should be like,
oh, good.
Yeah, good, we're helping out each other.
Exactly.
And in fact, there's a spin on that you can do where it's humans' predisposition to help each other out.
Yeah.
At least you hope.
One would hope.
One would hope.
One would hope.
Yeah. Thanks again for tuning in. So, this is the first part of a 4-part series. Each episode will be coming out every Friday for the month of May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. According to that schedule, part 2 will be up next Friday, May 10th. And hopefully this series does help in some small way. It can be tough out there, especially when you feel like you're on your own. But we hope that this series proves that maybe you are not as alone as you think. And if anything else, know that we like you. Alright, take care.